Ben, I'm going to ask you to stand by for just 30 more seconds. This is one of those moments when I'm glad we have a lawyer sort of on camera with us. We're just getting some breaking news here. There were rumblings of this earlier today that Trump University, Donald Trump and the Trump University lawsuit, that lawsuit with the state of New York, it has now been settled. A $25 million settlement, we are being told, between Trump University, between Donald Trump and the state of New York that had initiated through its attorney general legal action against Donald Trump and Trump University. We're hearing a $25 million settlement has been reached. Apparently, reports here of no admission of wrongdoing on the part of Donald Trump. Ben, what's your initial reaction to hearing that news?
Well, I think settlements at a time like this are a bargain at any price. That Donald Trump said he was right, the state said he was wrong. Basically, it is better to put these things behind you at the start of a new administration.
And does this continue to, do you think this will put this issue in the rearview mirror for him, or is it the kind of thing that could haunt him a little bit?
Well, I think whenever you settle a case and there's no admission of wrongdoing, then that is a time to move on and put the issue behind. That's what settlements do.
Okay, Ben Ginsberg, thanks as always for the time. That was great timing on our part. We had you on just as that news came in. I appreciate that. NBC's Steve Patterson, meanwhile, he's outside the federal courthouse in San Diego. So, Steve, what do you know about this latest development?
Yeah, as you've been saying, the word is coming down now with $25 million settlement. You mentioned the state case in New York, but remember, there are not one but two civil suits here in the state of California. All of these will be considered combined together in this settlement, but that payout is something that's unusual for the president-elect. Remember, this is Donald Trump. This is a guy who basically says that any settlement is a loss, and he's not used to, obviously, taking losses as far as he's considered. So this is something of an unusual case. Coming into this, his attorneys were trying to buy more time, saying this transition period is so important for the American presidency that they wanted to delay the trial from the 28th until after he actually officially took office. But him settling may be a sign of him maturing, getting this out of the way, not admitting guilt, and moving on from this and on to basically running the country. So we'll see how this plays out, but that's the way we have it so far, Ari.
All right, Steve Patterson out there in San Diego. Thanks for that. And coming up, we are going to take a closer look at Donald Trump's pick for Attorney General, Alabama Senator
one person who fans the flames and gives permission to sexism, racism, and anti-Semitism on his shoulder. And, you know, next door at the Justice Department, a person who also shares those views. It's really getting more and more disturbing.
That is Florida Congresswoman, former DNC Chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz today condemning Donald Trump's recent appointment, the one he announced today, of Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions as his pick for Attorney General. Also, she's going after retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. That is Donald Trump's choice to be his national security advisor. Now, some of Trump's picks, including Sessions, are going to need to pass the Senate. They're going to need to be confirmed there. Trump likely facing opposition from Wasserman Schultz. Well, she's in the House. That won't matter. But how many Democrats in the Senate are going to be opposing the pick of Sessions for Attorney General? Joining us now, we have with us Philip Bump, political reporter at the Washington Post, James Pindell, political reporter at the Boston Globe. Philip Bump, let me start with you. We've got some statements in. Chuck Schumer, top Democrat in the Senate, pronounces himself concerned with the Sessions pick. He says he works out with him at the gym, but that's not going to give him a free pass. That's the statement. Right. Elizabeth Warren, no middle ground here. She's saying there's no compromise on this, no negotiation. How much is this going to be a Democratic priority, fighting this nomination?
Well, I think the Democrats are going to try and figure out a place that they can push back against President-elect Trump wherever they can. I think that what's particularly resonant about the Sessions pick coming right now is that it's right on the heels of the Bannon appointment as the strategist to Donald Trump. And there are the same concerns about Sessions to some extent, about how he deals with issues of race, about his past history with race, that I think are something that the Democrats are going to seize upon, in part because they think it is damaging to President-elect Trump. So I think that Sessions right now, with the baggage that he brings to the table, is something that's particularly resonant for the Democratic base right at this moment. All of that said, though, the bar to actually block him from becoming AG is very, very high.
Yeah, and James, just in terms of the, I guess, the PR of this, if you're Donald Trump and you've got the Bannon controversy, now you've got Sessions. Flynn hasn't exactly gotten the most enthusiastic response either. It all sort of, to me, sets up this Romney meeting this weekend. Is there pressure there on Donald Trump to deliver some kind of big-name pick here who both sides are going to say, yeah, that's a good pick?
I think you're right. I think what's going to happen this weekend, there's a lot more pressure on Donald Trump to make some sort of agreement happen with Mitt Romney than there is on Mitt Romney. He's having a nice life. He doesn't need to be part of this administration. Obviously, the Secretary of State position is highly influential around the world. It's obviously a very key position to be taking. But Donald Trump needs Mitt Romney a lot more than Mitt Romney needs Donald Trump right now.
Yeah, do you think he recognizes that, Philip? Do you think Trump recognizes how much he needs Romney, and would he be willing to adapt because of that?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure he gets that he has some holes that he needs to fill, and that Mitt Romney could help him fill that. I find it very hard to believe, though, that the Donald Trump that we saw this hugely contentious back and forth between him and Romney on the campaign trail. I just find it hard to believe that Trump would set that aside and put Romney in charge of one of the most important aspects of his administration. I mean, Donald Trump is a guy who operates on loyalty. I get why Romney would want to do it for a variety of reasons, including that he's concerned about President Trump and wants to help shepherd how the United States is moving forward. I just find it hard to believe that Donald Trump will make the political calculation in this moment to the point that you just made, simply because that's not how Donald Trump has made any decisions so far.
He's already back to calling the Clintons
aside,
good people. I can tell you that. I want to ask you, James, about the other big piece of news we just said a minute ago here. This settlement, we're just learning now, a $25 million settlement. The New York Attorney General had brought charges there against Trump University. A $25 million settlement, no admission of wrongdoing. What do you make of that?
Well, look, I mean, as Ben Ginsburg said earlier, it's always a good thing to get these things as much as you can legally, process-wise, out of the news, though politically, of course, which has been the bigger problem for him. And for that, this will remain when he runs for re-election in 2020, no doubt about it.
And what do you think of it, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's another instance in which Donald Trump said something on the campaign trail that doesn't really jive with what ended up happening. I mean, he said he never settles. This is a settlement. I was just reading the press release from Eric Schneiderman, the AG in New York, and it suggests that he's paying $1 million in fine for having violated educational laws. So there are these ways in which the way he presented the Trump University case on the trail doesn't really match with what we're seeing now. Politically, he's going to be glad to have it out of the way. And, if it does come up during his re-election in 2020, doesn't seem to have done much damage this time. So.
Yeah, and James, this sort of big picture here, end of the first full week of this transition. What do you think the big headline is for the week for Donald Trump in this transition?
Trying to find their legs. And obviously you have these competing forces going on within the Trump team. There's a lot of pushback of saying that no one's ever going to tell Donald Trump no, but there are a lot of people telling no to one another. He may be a person who likes this chaos. We've seen it throughout the way his campaign was run, that you've had these underlying forces going to battle. Some days one side wins, the other day the other person wins. And we obviously saw that with the sort of dual appointment of Reince Priebus as chief of staff and then Steve Bannon as his main advisor. So I think you're going to find those camps going head to head as we go down the line on these picks. But right now we have 5 major picks from Donald Trump, and a lot of them have been hardline Republican picks. It will be interesting to see where he comes next week to have more moderate establishment picks.
Yeah, the picks so far have been loyalist. The rumored names have been a little bit different than that. We'll see what happens this weekend when Mitt Romney goes to Bedminster. Until then, Philip Bump, James Pindell, thank you both for joining us. And coming up, multiple senior intelligence officials have expressed to NBC News deep reservations about Donald Trump's pick for National Security Advisor. We're going to go live to the Pentagon for more reaction to General Mike Flynn and the new role that Donald Trump has chosen him for. Plus, as we have been telling you, breaking news this hour, Trump University back in the spotlight.
Trump University, which, by the way, has a 98% approval rating by the students that took the course. 98%. That's why I won't settle the case. It would be very easy for me to settle a case. It's a simple civil case. I could settle that case so easy, Joe, but I don't want to settle it. And probably I should, but I don't want to because I give them a great soundbite. That's probably why I should. I'll win that case so easily. But and I don't settle cases. You know what happens? When you start settling lawsuits, everybody sues you.
Well, now he apparently has settled this case. Donald Trump agreeing to a $25 million settlement in connection with the Trump University case, the one that was brought by the state of New York. No admission of wrongdoing on Trump's part, apparently. More details. We're starting to learn them right now. Also, some other big headlines to tell you about. Stay with us. Coming right back after this.